I think that what has happened is that there has probably been intervention by governments, and I think particularly the US government, maybe with a little bit of help from elsewhere, to try and calm down markets. I mean, we've known in the past that they intervene in the gold market. That, that is recorded history, and there are many, many instances of that. But I think particularly we've seen it in the energy markets, as well as maybe in the metals markets. And this, I think, is why WTI fell from a high of, what, $135 down to around about 93 yesterday. And it's a little bit better this morning. So to my mind, this is, there is this interest, if you like, from government to try and calm markets down. Now, where we are in this is that so far, Putin has not responded to Western measures to sanction all Russian bank payments and sanction various individuals. The problem Putin has is that even with a settlement, with a settlement, he can turn around and say to his people, the special operation has succeeded. Mm-hmm. But you've still got the problem that the West is not going to back down on sanctions against Russian payments. So he might respond. Now, he might take the view that actually the West is killing itself with these stupid sanctions, and he just stands back and just watches them get into a huge, great mess. That, I think, there's a logic in that strategy. On the other hand, he might come back in certain respects and make life very difficult for us. And I suspect that could be, he will turn around and say, well, because of the effect of the Ukrainian special operation on grain output, we're not going to permit grain exports from Russia. So, he could tighten up the thing there, and he could argue it on the basis that he's got to feed his people first. So that's one thing. I think he could maybe do something with some of the rarer metals, sort of platinum and some of the rare earths and so on and so forth, saying we're going to restrict these because we need them for ourselves. And the great thing about that is that the public have got no interest in precious metals. They understand oil and they think, my God, my heating oil's gone up. This is because of Putin. So, that I think is a different category, if you like, of geopolitical strategy than, say, rare earths, palladium, whatever. So there are things he can do to make things difficult for us. And I don't think the oil story is necessarily over either. Yeah. So, this idea, what we've had, so what I'm saying is that we have seen this, the initial ramp up in prices as everybody got caught short, and of course the hedge funds ran in and sort of said, sell dollar, buy gold, sell dollar, buy silver, whatever they were doing on the futures market. The problem with this, I think, is that having had that initial run up, and then I think that the authorities, if I can say that in the general sense without being specific, have tried to bring calm back into the markets. I think there comes a point, maybe in the next week or two, where we start seeing prices rise in a more orderly fashion, really driven by, and I come back to this, by all the money printing that's been going on over in recent years. So the idea that this is, the price of gold and silver have suddenly been really sort of hit and it's terrible, and you've got to bail out and all the rest of it. That's for idiots. It really is. The point is that silver has an enormous role to play in this world of environmental, whatever, because of, it is the best conductor in the world, bar none. We have seen what's happened to uranium. We have seen what's happened to lithium prices. Why hasn't it happened to silver? The answer is they're sitting on it. They're sitting on the price because the bullion banks are short and they can't afford to see the price go up. Yeah. And, so it's not going to take very much to actually tip silver, I think, into the sort of squeeze which we saw very dramatically with nickel. I think that is, for the establishment, actually quite a significant danger. So,
but you think they just changed the rules? Will they change the rules on COMEX?
Well, yes, of course they will. Yeah, of course they will. I mean, I remember the Hunt brothers. You know, I was a young stockbroker in those days, and I had a client. I had a client who was dealing in South African gold mines, and he was also writing options, selling options in the silver market, and he got wiped out. Fortunately, I didn't shoulder any losses, but my commodity dealer friends went out of business because silver moved more in one day than it had in the whole of the previous year. You know, and that's the sort of situation which the establishment wants to avoid. I mean, they'll move heaven and earth to avoid it. So, I mean, does this mean that we should think that the establishment can continue to always control the situation? We should go and look at something else? Well, you could do that. As an investor, I think it's actually could be quite sensible. But if you are actually trying to get out of the fiat money system and hedge your total commitment to the fiat money system, then what you should do is you should have some physical gold and physical silver, because that is real money. And you don't buy it to invest, because by definition, an investor buys at one price in the hope of selling it at another price.
Understood.
What we're talking about is we buy it so that when fiat currency falls over, we have got something to spend. And that is really what the role of physical silver and physical gold should be in the monetary sense.